Welcome back everyone. So just a kind of update on what's going on with my Grand Prix here. Like I said, it had C-Quartz UK 3.0 on the majority of the car. Gliss may have been still on it. I don't really know, because when Gliss fails it kind of disappears, and that was Gliss version 1, which didn't last as long as version 2. But anyway, so I polished off the 2-year-old C-Quartz coating that was on here. I used Meguiar's M210 on a Rupes yellow pad. That was more than enough to get rid of that coating. And I came back with a prep wipe. I'm using the Meguiar's M122 surface prep. I bought a gallon of this. Seems to work all right. And so the next thing I'm doing is I'm going to be using this IGL F4. I've actually already done this on the hood, and I'm going to show you on camera. This is their EcoShine Renew, which is a graphene infused nano paint refresher and rejuvenator. So think of this as Essence Plus, but graphene infused. And it's kind of hard to see the print on here, so I'm kind of read through it. It says EcoShine F4 is a graphene infused nano solution that refreshes and rejuvenates paintwork in just one step. I'm going to kind of skip through this kind of stuff. It also seals micro marring with a finish that resists heat, shrinkage, and frost. EcoShine Renew F4 is an abrasive-free system provided by graphene that improves hydrophobicity, rejuvenates faded paint, and increases the smoothness of the paint. So again, this is a non-abrasive formula. So the only abrasive part that you're going to get is from the pad that it's used with. Okay, EcoShine Renew F4 does not replace paint correction and is not recommended to be used as a primer before application of the EcoCoat series of coatings. And I'll come back to that point. So they can be used together with their IGL F series polishes for better performance. So if you go back to their line, which says it's not recommended to be used as their primer before their application of the EcoCoat series. Their EcoCoat series are all silicon dioxide based. I did ask them if it can be topped with another graphene infused product, and they said, oh no, it shouldn't be used as a primer. On the back, the only thing that they really mention is it put EcoCoat Premier on top of it. So the reason that they probably told me no, and I'm gonna go out and kind of I'm looking for the right word. What I'm trying to say is that IGL is actually working on a graphene infused coating, and I wouldn't be surprised if they come back and says, oh yeah, you can use their F4 as a primer for a graphene infused product, and so I'm using it for that purpose on this paint. So now that I went over it with M210, I'm going to go over it with some of this polish on here. It's really runny, so kind of just keep that in mind. I'm gonna do this section here. I've already actually done this section here. I want to just show you the way that IGL F4 works, and I'm running on speed 3.5 on the Rupes Duetto because I don't need my my Mark II. So we got some more cord here. Again, this part, see, it's all liquidy. It fell off my pad. You don't need a lot of product to work a big section. I'm using a Rupes white pad on here. It's got a little bit of cut, not too much. I'm going to start on this flat surface here. So really that's all that's really needed to, let me put this down on the chair here. That's all that's needed to really get that on there. I got a little extra product on here to kind of, once it starts to lose that the color on it and you kind of worked it in, just come back with a towel and wipe it off. You know, you don't need to let it sit there. You can let it sit there, but I'll let you know that it becomes harder to wipe off the longer you let it sit. And like this excess product, yeah, that becomes kind of a little bit more difficult to wipe off. So don't let it sit too long. It's basically just wipe on, wipe off, and you're going to be left with the slick surface. So let me go get some gloves, and then I'm going to show you the application of SPS. on the trunk here, because the trunk's already done. And again, I'm just gonna go around the entire car, do that real quick. I'll go to the sides here, and then I'll go around the other side and knock them out. So let me come back with some gloves, and then we'll kind of show the application of the SPS graphene coating, because I'm going to top IGL F4 with this product. So we're going to see how well this plays with that as a primer, even though they say not to use it as a primer. Part of detailing is experimenting, so let's go ahead and try that out. So let me go get some gloves and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. One thing I will mention that is after I put that graphene polish on here, I'm actually coming back. I'll let it sit for about a couple minutes, and then I'll come back with the prep wipe and wipe off any residual oils before I start putting the SPS coating on here. So I'm just going to shake this up, kind of mix the graphene in there because it does settle to the bottom. I'm going to blow off the top here, make sure we've got no crystallization. Okay, so we don't need a lot. Actually, I'm going to switch over to this hand here. So when I first prime this applicator, I will put more product than actually what is necessary. And then once you start using it, you don't need that much. Let me just go ahead and work this center part here. Now it's difficult to see it going on silver. And I'll go over it about 3 passes. And these black pieces you see on here are the grommets I use for the spoiler when I put it back on. So I'm going to go ahead and just do this section here. Let's see where I left off. I don't know if you guys can actually see it flashing. And just get my edges here. Yeah, then this doesn't need to sit very long. I'm just going to put the cap on here. It's kind of hard to see. Go ahead and put that down for a second. I don't know if you guys can actually see the coating on here, the way it sits on there. It's kind of hard to tell on there. I'm going to take you off the head strap here and kind of bring you in closer. You can actually see the line right there. So all this right here is the coating right there. So I put a nice layer on there. This doesn't really rainbow. I'll put you guys back on my head here. It doesn't really rainbow like sea quartz or any of that type of coating. So it kind of just sits there. I do go on it like this, so it's actually ready to be removed. This is actually a pearl towel from the rag company. So I'll go over it to kind of just knock it down a little bit. Yeah, you don't want to let this sit too long because it becomes harder to remove. Okay, so let me just go ahead and so this towel is going to be my initial wipe, and I marked them. This is the second side. Then I'll take a second towel. I'm not going to put this, don't put this on glass, because if you put it back on glass, you're going to get marks on your glass from excess coating. So this is an edgeless 300 from the rag company, and I use this to do my final buff, just to make sure I don't have any high spots from the coating. And it's really that simple. So just kind of just go over your edges. And right now I'm using the natural light coming from the garage. I don't need no from outside. I don't need any lighting or any of that, because I can actually see pretty well. But if you're doing this in the dark, get yourself a good light. And I'll show you a light that I really recommend people buy. So that's it. It's that simple to use. I'm just kind of going over it. I got a couple areas here that are wiped off here. So it's that simple, guys. So okay, sorry about that. Ended up coming over to the other side of the spoiler here. So we'll work on this side and just show you the way it works. And a little product goes a long way with this. What I like about this coating is that the way it feels after you put it on. I mean, it's nice and slick, and it lasts quite a long time, at least 3 months before it starts to kind of lose any kind of slickness on there. But it's really good. You know, a lot of people like the feeling of a crystal serum light, and this is kind of like that. I think this is on another level. And right now I'm just using a butter soft suede from the Rag company on a CarPro block. Like I said, the weather is allowing me to work kind of a longer section here. I'm coating this area first because I want to put my spoiler back on. I had to replace some of these grommets because they were leaking, so I put that down and put the cap on the bottle of SPS. I don't know if you guys can actually see this, but right here is the line where I stopped. You really can't see the coating too much, but it is what it is. I actually want to show you one light that I recommend people to buy, and that's this scan grip light. It's actually a scan grip light designed for Geon. So you get the Geon name and the color. The Geon's purple, but you get these diffuser caps with it, and it's got the Bluetooth on it. It's got the Kelvin temperature is 2500 all the way to 6500, but it's pretty neat. So if I just turn it on like this, you know, you could actually still see the coating on here, but these diffuser caps here, really hard to see on the camera. I don't know if it shows up, but I can actually see the lines from the coating on here. So again, I would take this towel and I would go ahead and just knock this down. Again, this towel is just kind of spreading it some more and removing some of the product and the transfer solution. So this towel is doing the heavy lifting. Okay, so then I'll switch over to, let me grab my blue towel here, and then we'll do a final buff here. Get my edges here. So it doesn't need, SPS doesn't need a long time to set up, you know, about 30 seconds, and then that's really it. I can actually see in the light here, but like I said, this diffuser cap works really good because, like, on silver I'm using 2500 Kelvin. If I increase it to 35, I can actually see a little bit more, but it's a little too white on there, so I go 2500. You know, that's the color that works best on here. So if I do 3500, it's a little bit more white, but this allows me to see any high spots. Like there's one right here. So I let the SPS sit a little too long as I was talking to you guys, but it's okay. It still came off. Under here is where the spoiler is going to sit, so if I left a high spot, it wouldn't bother me. Okay, so that's really it. That's all there is to it for the SPS application. Go ahead and put this down for a second. Put that down. You want to put it face down on there. So again, that's the application of SPS Graphene coating. Again, you kind of have to be authorized to get a hold of this. Art to Shine actually sells their version that anybody can get, and that's the same exact product, or very similar, same person with this one. So just go ahead and pick that one up. It is expensive. I think the Art to Shine one is like $200 for the $200 for the 50 ml bottle. Then I think for the entry level thing is like $80 or $90. So again, it's expensive. These are graphene's the newest thing on the market. You know, it's still relatively new, so it's kind of the too early to tell how long it's gonna last, or whether graphene is going to stick around, or whether this is going to replace silicon dioxide coatings. So you know, right now this is the buzzword that everybody's hearing is graphene as the next big thing for coatings, and it's going to start trickling down into the enthusiast level. Right now it's a lot of professional grade products are using this. So again, we'll see how this combination works with the IGL F4 Renew and the SPS Graphene on top of that. I'm not going to leave this on for 5 years. They claim a 5-year longevity. I'm going to just leave it on there for about a year, maybe two. See how long I decide to keep it, and whether I want to polish this again relatively soon. But I do have the graphene spray detailer as well to use that. So when we get to that point, I'll show you how to use that. But again, that's the SPS graphene coating application over IGL F4 Renew. I'll post up final walk around of the car once it's done, and then we'll do a first wash just to kind of see what the water behavior looks like of SPS. We've already seen it. It's really good. And then, but after the first wash, I'll use the spray detailer. So that's what's coming up on this car, and then I'll get that one out the door for you guys who are interested in watching the application process. Again, it feels real nice. You guys will like the feeling of the graphene. You're not going to get that typical tacky sensation like a C-quartz, like a quartz-based coat, let's put it that way. So again, that's the application. Stay tuned for the next one.